It has been part of a day out at Southport for the best part of 100 years. But the Pleasureland theme park is no more. The doors shut last night after the owners decided it was losing too much money. It's a big blow for a town where tourism is vital to the economy. Our Merseyside reporter Andy Gill is there now, and we go over to join him. Andy.
You know, Gordon, there's nothing quite so glum as a fun park where the fun is over. A sad day for millions of people who over the decades have enjoyed a day out here. A blow to a town where, as you say, tourism is vital. And of course, very bad news for the dozens of people who worked here and who tonight find themselves out of a job. The rides are stopped and the gates locked. Pleasureland closed for trading at 5 o'clock last night. Some of the 52 people who've lost their jobs didn't know until they turned up for work this morning.
How much notice did you have that your jobs were going?
None at all.
Nothing. Just come this morning. I didn't know nothing.
So you came to work?
I came to work and expecting to go in, but no.
Last year, 500,000 people came to Pleasureland, but the owners say it's losing money. Despite what they describe as significant investment, they also say it's facing stiff competition.
It must be acknowledged that the UK theme park industry as a whole is facing increased competition from publicly funded and lottery-funded attractions, which have significantly distorted the visitor attractions market.
Pleasureland's been part of Southport since 1913. Some people think it shot itself in the foot when it introduced a £2 charge just to go into the park.
That means that Granny out for a day with the kids, whether or not she's going on the traumatiser, has to pay even to walk around and see what's here. That's not good business. That reduces an awful lot of trade, and the figures prove that.
The land here is owned by Sefton Council, and there are legal covenants which say it must be used for leisure. The council wants early talks with Pleasureland about how it might be developed and how that'll fit in with other tourist attractions here.
Any fears that it's going to be turned into a supermarket or block of flats is just out of the question. What we do is to get cracking in getting a new attraction here as soon as possible.
It's possible that some of the rides, including the traumatiser, may be moved to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, owned by the same company. The firm won't officially confirm or deny that.
Well, Andy, this clearly has come as a shock to much of the workforce, despite rumours that it had been struggling there a bit. Do we know how much it had been losing?
We don't, Gordon. That was a question we wanted to put to Pleasureland, but as you saw in our report, their PR lady would only read out a statement. No one was available for interview, so detail like that I'm afraid we just don't have. The local MP, John Pugh, thinks that the company, which also owns Blackpool Pleasure Beach, may be worried about whether Blackpool will get Britain's super casino and how that may affect their overall business or not. Well, we're joined now by a man who for 21 years was the tourism director here before he retired, Phil King. Mr. King, why do you think things have gone wrong here at Pleasureland in Southport?
Well, things are changing. Not only in Southport, but at every other amusement park up and down the country. In fact, Southport has been well and truly traumatised or de-traumatised, and it's a sad day for the resort and for resorts in general.
Are people doing other things, going to other kind of amusements?
I'm sure they are, and I'm sure that people who run amusement parks and theme parks are looking at their figures and wondering if there is a way forward. Certainly in Southport we have much development happening, and entrepreneurs who are looking at Southport and indeed are in Southport will be alerted by a possible avenue for development here.
What do you think needs to go here? If not Pleasureland, then what?
Well, it's got to be family orientated. We're a family resort, and we bring literally tons, millions of people to Southport every year. So it's got to be family orientated, and I'd like to see an amusement park here, but not necessarily like this.
OK, Phil King, thank you very much indeed. From Pleasureland in Southport, back to you, Gordon.
In its heyday, thousands would go through its gates to go on the rides. The resort itself was always seen as a bit genteel compared to its more colourful rival of Blackpool. But that's not to say it didn't have its moments of glamour. Emily Ray worked there more than 50 years ago and was the first female ride operator of her kind. She has some wonderful memories of her time there, including the day when Hollywood came to town.
I used to work on the Caterpillar ride, and it was a huge ride. It used to seat, 96 people. So you can imagine the driving cabin. It was like a railway cabin with all the levers and the handles. And in those days, a woman, it was unknown for a woman to have a job like that because it was heavy, you know. So I was the only woman Caterpillar driver in the country. Most people will know what it is. It's the ride that has a canopy that comes over and covers the people that are riding on it. And of course, it encouraged them to come on so that when the canopy came over, they could have a little snog. They'd say, put this canopy over, we want covering up, you know. When Judy Garland came round with her entourage, but she wouldn't come on the ride. She was very nervous. She was tapping her hands like this all the time. And she was very ordinary looking. She'd no makeup on. And anyway, she wouldn't come on the Caterpillar. But we followed her around with our little camera and we filmed her on every stall or ride she went. I'll always remember it. It's as though it's yesterday, even though it's 50 odd years ago. Oh, it was a marvellous time. It was really.
Great memories. Sad it's all gone.